Cashiers of Reddit, what products do you silently judge people for buying? Nothing. 10 seconds after you're gone I can't remember your face or what you bought. Glad to see this. I worked as a grocery store cashier for years and I never judged because I can't remember you the second you start walking away. I'm too busy thinking about how badly I want to leave. Before the days of TLC coupon clipping reality shows, one woman came through my line and bought 217 bottles of assorted Kraft salad dressing. She ended up paying nothing for them because of some weird coupon loophole. After my manager had cleared her and she left the store, I was initially impressed but then thought, what the hell are you going to do with 217 bottles of salad dressing? I usually didn't judge unless it was ridiculous amounts of junk. My favorite was a customer who bought 2 cases of tuna, a large pack of disposable razors and a few cans of Lay's shaving cream. I was wringing the stuff out and started giggling. He was confused and I asked, "Are you gonna shave a cat?" The guy took a look at his purchases and started laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. Both of us were in tears by the time he was out the door. No one else heard us so we just looked insane. 2 years ago I had a lady buy 100 Farmville cards. I have never judged a customer more harshly than that. Sounds like it was for a giveaway or raffle of some sort. Why yeah. That's totally why I bought them. A raffle. Yeah. That's it. I worked for a liquor store chain for 11 years. I really didn't pay attention too much to the actual item they bought, but the cost and quantity. Had one lady buy 3 1.75 bottles of $9.99 vodka every morning. Her skin was yellow. I once had a couple buy a pack of unlubricated Trojans and a container of I can't believe it's not butter and I could barely keep a straight face ringing them up. I doubt they were elated. If they were smart, they'd know that oil-based lubricants can break down latex. If they weren't, well, enjoy your not quite butter baby. For me, it was the fat people diets of chips, soda and cigarettes. I know there's a large portion of Redditors that claim diet has nothing to do with their weight problem. But, duck. In the 2 years I worked as a cashier, I was amazed about what fat people bought for themselves and their fat kids. Diet is pretty much the most important thing when losing weight. I live an incredibly sedentary lifestyle, usually sitting at my computer in all my free time. I usually stick around 180 pounds. A bit overweight by my height, but moderately so. However, when I pack on a few, I just cut all sugars and anything with preservatives from my diet. The pounds just melt off, even as I sit on my ass and do jack shit. This only happened once, but I used to work as a cashier at a Whole Foods in Boston. A man came in one day with a swollen black eye, cut lip and blood all over his shirt. He then proceeded to buy 50 cases of maple syrup. I used to be a cashier and I usually wouldn't care what people bought, unless it was a large quantity of one thing. Pretty suspicious. But there was this one guy I remember who would come in maybe once or twice a week and buy those Trojan Magnum condoms. He'd walk up, that the only thing in hand, put it on the counter with the most smug grin you've ever seen. That guy was annoying. He was hitting on one of the other cashiers for the longest time too. When a guy's buying tampons and or pads, I am silently thinking you are awesome. I never understood why this embarrasses guys. It's definitive proof that you're getting some. Years ago, I worked at a drugstore that had a liquor department. One customer has forever stayed with me because she broke my heart. She was older, maybe in her late 60s, early 70s. Always clean and neat but clearly living on a very restricted income. Very polite as well. She came in every day to buy the exact same thing, with no variation, a pint of the cheapest vodka we had, a can of cat food, and a lottery ticket. After about 6 months of this I asked after her cat and she told me she did not have one. That this was cheap and good enough for her to live on. I was floored. To think of this sweet lady eating cat food so she could afford her lottery ticket and vodka. It still messes me up. Anything old ladies buy at Ross. They come in every day and spend all of their money on useless items and clothes and shoes. Then they return everything at different Rosses and buy more junk. It's an addiction. Worked at Ross. Can confirm. For every 10 items sold, there were 9 items returned. Everything in the store was so used and beaten up and bought and returned so many times that the store was really just an expensive thrift store. I don't judge people at all for what they buy. I judge customers by how they treat other patrons of the store and the employees. Edit. Holy shit. Thanks for popping my Reddit gold cherry. I used to be a grocery store cashier. I would judge people with kids on food stamps that bought no real food. Their carts full of soda pop, chips, cookies, etc. No meat, beans, rice, vegetables, fruit, nothing that would be healthy or nourishing for their kids. And not just a one-off thing like maybe they were having a birthday party for their kid. It was always the same people buying the same stuff every week. Saturday morning 9 am-ish, guy walks up to the counter with 2 wines. The kinds you get in a box and anti-hangover pills and an expression of the sad face. Our gaze meet. He has a slight nod of I'm gonna regret this look. I nod back and off he goes. I used to work in an upscale china shop. We had a set that sold for between £2,000 for a side plate and £25,000 for a casserole dish. Yeah, they were gaudy and ugly and overpriced, and yeah, if you bought any of it, I assumed you were a senseless prick with more money than taste. Not a cashier. But this one time I was in the local hardware store getting some paint. I'm walking around and I see this guy with a cart full of lye, acetone and some other stuff. I'm a pretty educated guy, so I know this guy isn't about to go power wash his home with these supplies. I then see him add to his cart a big box of matches. And they are the wrong kind. He needed to buy the individual matchbooks with the striker strips. That's where he'll find the red phosphorus. I also thought, why would you buy everything in one store? He should have gone to a bunch of different stores. I just wish these amateurs would just stay out of my territory. I'm a cashier at a grocery store. And I try not to judge people I only see for 5 minutes once a week. But goddamn it. If you buy wet produce and leaking meat and bags of clams and don't put them in the little plastic bags, I hate you. Oh my god, I hate you. My friend is a cashier at a 7/11 and told me how people often buy cigarillos for weed up. Once some like 75-year-old guy bought $50 worth of cigarillos and gave them to a bunch of 14-year-old girls. He was doing more laughing than judging. I don't really judge as much as I try to figure out what you're doing that night. Buying cake mix, sprinkles, pop, chips. Okay. Easy, you're having a birthday party. Buying a pack of condoms and a frozen pizza? You're obviously some sort of 6 god hoolas and victims with delectable food. I worked as a cashier as my first job, and there are very few customers I can remember. The only one that I still remember is the lady who used to buy hundreds of dollars of canned cat food every week. She brought in her own bags to get the 3 cent per bag discount, and they reeked of cat pee. We would switch out the bags when she wasn't looking and give her the discount anyway. The only other customers I remember are the ones that I liked. There was an older man that came in for a newspaper every Sunday morning, and he would have a conversation with me because no other customers were there that early. There was the teenage boy that bought me a rose because he thought I looked like I needed to be cheered up. One lady who worked at a food pantry would come in twice a month and buy meat and dairy products to give away out of her own money because the pantry only offered shelf-stable food. Also, the crazy cat lady had no bearing on my username. Worked at a Walmart in a college town. Had about 9 guys come through together and bought between all of them 3 containers of beer each, 2 boxes of condoms each, and then each guy had 2 boxes of sleeping pills. It was a bad combination to buy all together. My manager ended up pulling the tapes and getting the police involved. Literally nothing. I just don't care. If you buy the latest Air Bud DVD, assorted phallic veggies, and a bottle of lube, I don't care. Have a party. If you buy a zombie mask and a box of condoms, I hope you get laid at your Halloween party. I've been standing here for 7 hours. My ducking back hurts. My fallen arches are killing me. I just do not care. There's an out of the way grocery store that has great prices on really high quality meat. So I go. Like once every 3 months and stock up. One time, I left with 20 pounds of ground meat of various types. I got judged hard. Walgreens cashier here, a lady about 55 years old comes into Walgreens every day and buys the same 3 items every day. 1 gallon of drinking water, 1 99-cent tube of lotion, and a single roll of the cheapest toilet paper we sell, that sheets like sandpaper. She then asks for every item in their own separate bag. I'm sorry, but I judge the duck out of her. Not a particular product, but customers who ask if I'll let $0.75 slide so they don't have to break a $5 bill. What? No. Also, people who dig for exact change for 30 seconds when there's a line and I could have handed them their 11 cents in one. I judge myself for buying the Daily Mail and can only assume cashiers do too. Often I try to hide my shame by wrapping it in The Guardian as I walk home. One day I will wean my nan off of it. Lottery tickets. I see people dropping $20 a day on them and then using their ET for food purchases. I just can't understand that mentality. From the other end of the transaction, I used to pull and splice fiber optic cable and once had a 2-week job way out of town. Every day I would drive out to the site and stop at the same McDonald's and grab a meal for the road. After a solid week of this, the cashier sees me pull up to the window, recognizes me, and says, "You know this sheet will heal you, right?" Stopped going to that McDonald's for a few days. Worked at a McDonald's when I was 16. People would buy a hamburger, then complain they ordered 5. The cashier made an error and demand they be brought out quickly. I would have to explain they only paid for 1, as the receipt shows. So I would be happy to get them for more if they paid for them. People always thought they had a foolproof plan for free food. At the Dollar Tree, when people used to buy the $1 boneless chicken pieces, I genuinely wonder if they truly had any interest in living. I only judged one customer. She had 3 children who were dirty, hyper, pale, and overweight. She bought a gallon of milk and a load of little dibby cakes. She used food stamps. When the youngest, 6 years old, asked if he could get a soda, she said, "We don't have enough for a soda. And I sure as hell ain't using my cigarette money." I just thought about how completely she was ducking those kids over. I work at the customer service desk and I usually don't ring up many groceries. This one lady, probably her mid-40s, came up with a bottle of baby oil and put it on the counter. I asked if that was all she was buying and she asked, "Where's the candy located?" Oh, crap. I looked like such a pervert. That really made my day. 2 guys at a Safeway buying a single cucumber, a box of condoms and a bottle of Lubriderm looked me dead in the eye and said, "We're not gay." Not a cashier. But when I go to the grocery store, there is one cashier that comments on the price of my coffee every single time. So expensive. As she thoroughly inspects the package. The last time I finally cracked and said, "You're right. I really need to stop shopping here." Former McDonald's employee here. I didn't really judge fat people buying a lot of food for themselves. I don't really care after all. However, I judged fat people buying a lot of food to their young fat kids. Like a large Big Mac meal for a 7-year-old kid. Always made me kind of sad. I worked in a small town, so not too many stories of tomfoolery other than when you couldn't buy energy drinks with a net card anymore. But a few years back, when there was that huge oil spill in the Gulf Coast, we decided to ask for donations for Dawn dish soap and other products. We had a few boxes. But as soon as corporate got a whiff of that, they said that they didn't want to be associated with that and held the whole thing. So the next day I was restocking the shelves with the items people had donated out of the kindness of their hearts. I couldn't bear to tell them. So I lied and said we shipped it off to wherever. I hate people sometimes. Mainly Beats by Dre. Expensive tablets. Headphones. Phones and such for their bratty 8-year-olds that they're just gonna break and try to return it and complain that they broke it and the company is responsible. Also video games rated M for their kids still aged in single digits. Oh, it's too violent and bloody? Should have read the label. No, you can't return it. Cashier at a hockey shop. Whenever someone buys a wheelie bag, a part of me dies inside. 2 stories that are only tangentially related to the topic. Story 1. During college my roommate and I went to Walmart on a Saturday afternoon. We ended up in line behind his physics prof. As we were chatting I looked at his basket and noticed he had like 50 tubes of KY jelly. There was visible embarrassed. But told us he had a cow giving birth and wanted to be prepared. Story 2. It was my first pregnancy scare. My GF told me she was 3 weeks late at 1:30 AM. I flipped out a little and drove to Walmart to buy a pregnancy test. The cashier asked me how I was doing. And I replied, I'm at Walmart buying a pregnancy test at 1:30 on a Sunday morning. How do you think I'm doing? I once had an overweight customer return a Shakuate. Because she thought the shaking was automatic. I judged pretty harshly right then. Target slave here. I pretty openly judged this one guy. He spent like $100 on MTG cards and denied his kid a $1 coloring book. I'm pretty sure it was the kid's gift card that he paid with. 2. It was shaped like a cupcake and said happy birthday. I felt like crying when they were about to leave and I ended up buying a $10 crayon and coloring book set from the reshop bin. When they left I heard the skeevy dad saying how the kid didn't deserve anything from the store. So he sure as hell wasn't gonna get him anything. That kid's face was such a contrast to the euphoria, that the MTG card purchasing dad was experiencing. I've been judging people buying THOS cards ever since. I remember an old guy. I'm talking at least 70. Bought 2 tapioca puddings and a 3-pack of condoms. I have never rooted for anyone harder than I was for that old man. Soda for children. Oh, it's all they will drink. My daughter is 3 and only drinks milk and water. If there is no soda around, they won't drink it. 14-year-old girl bought falsies and a teeny bikini with mom behind her telling her she needed to get bigger falsies. Duck that mom. I'm a cashier at a Froyo place. Once. This girl bought $0.89 worth of Froyo. She literally just bought a cup with maybe 1 or 2 small spoonfuls worth of yogurt at the bottom. After checking out, she asked me if it has any calories and whether she would be getting fat if she ate that yogurt. I am not a cashier, but a lady behind me in line at Walmart commented on my wine and chocolate purchase. Yes, I was having a bad day. Thanks for pointing that out loud. I used to work for Fred Meyer's, Kroger's, and it was always super awkward when a customer was buying douche-up. This one little kid bought some of those shaped rubber bands, bandies or something like that were super popular for some reason. The whole time he was begging his mom to get them till she relented. He slaps them on the counter with a big grin and pays with his own money. After eyeing him up he rips into the package, pulls out all the rubber bands and puts them on his wrist with the biggest smile. That smile didn't last long. It slowly turned into a frown. In a small defeated voice he said to himself, "This was a stupid idea," and left. Later I found them on the floor near the exit. Poor guy couldn't bring himself to even keep them.